The more real God is in your life, the more your life will start to look like him. And the more that you get to know him, the more that you'll start to look like him. Because it's not the bad habits that are keeping you away from God. It's not the lust. It's not the temptations. Because those are all distractions to get you to not pursue God. Because God's presence is enough to change your desire. Him literally just being in the room with you is enough to change the desire to not give in to that lust. His presence being there is enough to not make you prideful out in public and not make you cuss around certain friends. And that's why the enemy will do anything to distract you from reading the word. He would do anything to convince you that when you sin that you're not supposed to run to God, that he no longer loves you. Because the devil knows that if you truly get to know who he is, not just in your mind, but in your heart, then you will change. And how you actually get to know him, not just in your mind, because you can read the word and still not get closer to God. But the way that you actually get to know him personally is if you're real with him. If you are actually honest. If you aren't ready to let go of that sin, you can be real with God because he already knows your heart already. It's not like just because you hide it and you don't confess it, that doesn't mean that God doesn't know. You have to be real with God on where you're at. And then you have to actually get to know his character. Understand why it's bad in your life. And you can ask God to teach you to hate that sin. And then as you seek for God and actually seek for who he is, that is when you'll start to see the change in your life. Even if you don't know what an encounter looks like, what his presence feels like, and all of these different types of things. The only way that you're going to be able to figure out those things is if you are seeking for him. The word says in Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, seeking you'll find, knocking the door will be open. Because as long as you have an open heart, a surrendered heart, meaning that if you are wrong, you are willing to change. When you are seeking for the truth and just seeking for what is right, and you truly want to live that life for God, as long as you are seeking him, you will get to know him. And when you get to know him, that's when you'll change. And that's why the word says, depart from me, I never knew you. Because when you get to know God, you'll change. You won't be working iniquity. That's why it says in 1 John chapter 2, verse 3-4, that we can be sure that we know God if we keep his commandments. Because when you know God, your desires will naturally match up with God's character. Because we are all made to love in some way, shape, or form. So when we figure out who love is, there is no way we can deny him. No matter if you fail, no matter how many times you have failed, continue to seek God and be real with him where you're at. Because all it takes is curiosity and a willingness to change. And that is when God will do the rest. So y'all stay blessed.